I am Spencer Israel. I've got JC Parets. I've got Steve Strazza with me. I've got chart wizard Alfonso in the background whipping up charts as we speak. So let's get the show on the road. What do we got today? We got let's see, energy. We got to talk about energy here. We talked a little bit about it on a Friday, but we didn't really get I feel like we didn't cover as much of it as we wanted to. Speaking of sectors, how about utilities last week, huh? When's the last time we talked about that? Leading the way. All right, go Utes. Good morning, chat. Good morning, Trickwood, Felly, Ken, Jerry. Good morning, everyone on stockmarketmedia.com. Good morning, everyone on Twitter and YouTube as well. Chrisitan Tharp is our guest today. He'll be on in about 20 or so minutes. We'll have Kimmy Sokoloff after that. And we've got you. We've got us. We're all here. Let's go. It's the morning show.
Good morning. Somebody is feeling good today. Can you imagine why there, Mr. Strazza, Mr. Spencer? Any guesses as to why JC in such a good mood today?
I know the answer.
I mean, the Patriots are 0-2. The Dolphins are 2-0. Does that have...
Dude, the Patriots are 0-2 for the first time since I was a sophomore in college. And by the way, I went to school in Connecticut, so half my friends were from Massachusetts and the other half of my friends were from the New York area. So, and I had a lot of action on the Patriots. I jumped on the bandwagon. I had the money line on the Patriots all throughout the playoffs and the Super Bowl. Yep. Made enough money to buy myself a PlayStation 2. That is a true story. But nice. That is not why I'm all excited. I was excited then. But Miami Hurricanes 3-0. Miami Dolphins 2-0. I'm on top of the world, baby. Let's go.
Normally I would say I would know that you're more excited about the Hurricanes, but Dolphins could have a shot this year. Division's kind of opening up.
I'm already looking at Super Bowl tickets. I am, I swear. Because think about it. If I'm going to stay at a nice hotel for the Super Bowl, it's going to be tough to get.
Where is it this year?
Vegas.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
No.
So I got to get on it. You know, if I'm going to stay at a nice hotel, like otherwise if I wait till the last minute, I'm going to stay in some dumpy, raunchy place with my father. Like nobody wants that. Like if I'm going to take my dad to the Super Bowl, we should say it, you know, right?
All right.
No? All right. I mean, that's how I see it.
How was your weekend? Mine was fantastic. It's week 2. All right. Let's get to the stocks. Let's get to the markets.
Week 4 already. Come on.
All right. Whatever.
Let's hit the state of the markets.
State of the markets. Let's do that. Not state of the sports.
I kind of like the state of the sports segment. As long as my teams are doing well, we can do that. You know, it's if my team starts to struggle, then I don't want to talk about it, right? I'm one of those, right? Like the Perma Bears in a bull market that just like close their eyes and pretend it's not happening and hope it goes away. That's me when the Dolphins suck. And when the Hurricanes suck, I'm even worse. So listen, I think the first chart really tells the story here. Stocks are supposed to be struggling during this time of the year, and what do you know? Yep. Stocks are struggling this time of the year. Strazza, have you ever in your career seen the market follow seasonal trends as closely as they have throughout 2023?
No. Thank you. Really last year too, though. Jeff Hirsch would agree. He'll tell you the same thing.
Dude, how funny was it when I was in my panel discussion the other day at Future Proof?
Yeah.
And Jeff Hirsch was sitting like in the second or third row, and I'm just spitballing seasonality, and Jeff is like, dude,
yeah,
why are you up there? Why am I not up there? I kind of felt a little bit bad of like kind of stealing his thunder, but I gave him his props, and it wasn't all seasonality, but the market has really followed these seasonal trends really, really, really closely. After midterm election years, stocks historically do very well. They did, right? And then in the Q3, you know, in the back half of Q3 in particular, stocks historically struggle. And what do you know? Stocks have this. I mean, it's like really to the T. And let's just say, Strazza, you ignored completely all of these seasonal trends. Why don't you go to the next chart? Because this is really, forget the seasonality. This is really it. The fact that it's happening during a time when stocks are supposed to struggle from a seasonal perspective, I suppose shouldn't be surprising, but this is what's happening. And these are the most important areas of the market. These have been the leadership groups. And we're back to where these things stopped going up back in 2021. Semiconductors, homies, industrials, tech, all of them got back to those former highs and stopped going up. Like, it's just supply and demand, right?
Yeah, it's been this way for 2 months now. Until we get through these levels, I think, what you wrote about this morning is really the biggest takeaway from all this, right? If you're a passive investor, I have my passive investing hat. If you're a passive investor, it's
what hat is that? Is that a Vanguard hat? What is that?
Passiveinvesting.com.
That's a website. Passiveinvesting.com. Okay.
I haven't been there.
They're not paying us for this.
No.
I didn't know it existed until Strazza just brought it up.
I'll take it off. Nice guys, though. But if you're a passive investor, right, it's going to be hard to make money if these groups aren't working, namely technology and the big tech stocks. But XLK really shows it the best.
Dude, look at the XLK chart. This is almost 30% of the S&P 500. It's half the NASDAQ 100.
Yeah.
So when you talk about an important sector, hard to find a more important one than this one. And sure enough, we get back to those former highs and stop going up. Right? In late 2021, the market proved that there was more supply than demand at these levels, right? At these prices, more sellers than buyers. And then people are like, well, Jay-Z, for every seller, there's a buyer. While that is true, there aren't an equivalent amount of buyers and sellers at every price. And that's why price moves. But at these prices, we know from prior experiences that there are more sellers than buyers at these prices. And what do you know? 2 years later-ish or so, year and a half, 2 years, we get back to these levels for the first time since then. And what do you know? There are still more sellers than buyers at these prices. So, forgetting seasonality from a seasonal perspective, right? Buy in October, get yourself sober, a month from now or so. Maybe, right? Maybe. I have no idea what the market's going to do. But what I do know, because it's just math, is that these indexes are going to have a hard time making any progress if technology is stuck below those former highs. Same with industrials, semis, right? Homies. If they're stuck, it's going to be hard. I mean, energy represents 4% of the S&P 500. Energy can go to the moon, as the kids say these days, and it ain't going to make a dent in the indexes. By the way, energy represents 0% weighting in the NASDAQ 100.
Okay, so how do you make money? Does this just mean nobody can make money if the indexes are sideways?
No, I mean, it's the strategies are just very different. We're selling a ton of premium these days. I feel like every options trade we put on, we're either naked selling premium or we're selling premium to pay for an option, right? We weren't doing any of that in the first half of the year. Nothing.
This started in July, though, to be fair. It's been going on for about 2 months.
July, the new 52-week highs list peaked over 2 months ago now. So we're in month 3 of a correction. People are like, when is the market going to correct? It's like, we've been, bro. I mean, over 2 months now in a correction. I mean, that's really what it's all about. So, and I'm looking forward to talking to Chrisitan Tharp later today because he's only options. So he changes his option strategies depending on what the market is doing. For us, options are just another vehicle, right? Equities are a vehicle, ETFs are a vehicle, futures are a vehicle, Forex is a vehicle if you really want to get down and dirty. Options are just a vehicle, and a vehicle that is very helpful in a sideways range. You throw up the S&P 500, you could really see that we're stuck in that sideways range, right?
When the indexes are facing overhead supply like this and in corrective mode like they've been, and the biggest stocks in the U.S. are going sideways, really you have to be not just more selective with your vehicles, but I think options is a good example of how you have to be more creative, right? Because with options, unlike equities, we could actually make money on a stock going nowhere. Literally cannot do that via common stock. So you have to kind of look outside of your comfort zone. If you want to do it through options, you could do it through options. Another thing you could do is you just mentioned energy stocks, right? There will be groups and individual stocks that are trending. just harder to find, right? So you have to be more selective and I think more creative.
No doubt. Throw that S&P and NASDAQ chart. So you can see it's really the same thing. Getting back to those levels. You kind of had that failed breakout a couple of years ago, and now we're back to those levels for the first time. You can see it, right? You can see. So it's messy. And honestly, like I've been saying, messy for longer is the trade at the index level in particular. And I don't really see any evidence that has changed at all. Why don't you throw up slide 4 there so you can see what crude oil is doing, hitting the highest levels all year there, Mr. Strazza. What do you think about that?
It's been incredible. And I think if you're not in energy, oh boy, the next leg is already here. It's already started.
You think oil gets back to those former highs?
Yeah.
Right. What are we talking? 130?
I do. I mean, what do you think? Is that not just how technical analysis should work? Right. Of course, anything could happen, but this is a reversal pattern. In my opinion, if you zoom in on this, it's completed. So we're going back. We're at least going to retrace to the highs, and I would think more.
Yeah.
And
Well,
what are energy stocks doing?
I'll push back a little. It's not so much that that's how technical analysis works. It's more that's how the market works. Technical analysis is the study of the behavior of the markets, right? So it's not so much like that's how technicals work. It's just how the markets work. Technicals are the observations and the analysis that we do on those markets, right? Not to nitpick, but I just want to clarify that.
I'm talking more about pattern analysis, right? If you opened up a textbook, a technical analysis textbook, and you looked at a reversal pattern, it would tell you if and when the reversal completes, now the trend is higher, you're probably going to go back to those highs. You can measure out that base, and it's going to get you just about there too.
I remember that high when it hit 130. It was a Sunday night. I remember being at my in-laws' house and just kind of having like a Sunday dinner, pasta, meatballs, sausage, the whole thing. And, I always get excited for, the futures open on a Sunday. I always have, right? If you're a friend of mine or a family member that hangs out with me on Sundays, you'll know that. Even my daughter, I always ask her, I was like, are the market going to open green or red? She always says green. She's such a permeable, this little one.
That's why.
Always says green. Always says green.
Alexandra, yeah.
And then, I remember being long energy at the time and now again. And, when I'm stoked about higher energy prices, my in-laws don't like it. They they're like, that's not good. And I'm like, it is for your daughter and your daughter's family, right? And that's the only thing I can control. I can't control what other people do with their money. I can only control what we do with our money. And if oil goes to 130, Daddy gets a beach house, maybe. I mean, at least close to one, right?
Rates are going higher too. I got news for everybody. Let me ask you something though. Now talk to me about that crude oil chart in the context of large cap energy stocks, which have literally gone nowhere for 15 years. The XLE is in the same place it was in 2008.
That's right. I remember it well.
So
I remember it well.
Crude's going to go. If what we're saying is true, right, or turns out to be true, we have this massive 15-year base in energy stocks just waiting to launch.
Yeah.
Seems like it's all coming together.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to imagine an environment where all of that is happening in oil and in energy stocks and interest rates are going lower. Anything could happen. I've seen stranger things, but probably not the bet that I would make, right? You could see. And then, by the way, not to overthink the intermarket implications, but if that is the case and rates are ripping and energy's ripping and making new highs, bonds are collapsing, making new lows, what's that doing to that growth trade? What's that doing to tech stocks? What's that doing to the overall market, X energy?
It could be tough. All right, gun to your head. Is the next move a cut or a hike?
By the Federal Reserve?
Yeah.
I have no idea, and I don't care either.
Why
would I care?
You look at too many charts to say you have no idea. You do have an idea.
I have no idea what the Federal Reserve is going to do. Right. I don't know what I'm having for dinner tonight.
All right.
Yet alone what the Federal Reserve is going to do. I don't even know when they meet again. I have no idea. Ask John Netto.
Did the short end of the curve peak?
I have no idea. I doubt it.
Okay. Thank you.
But I don't know. I'm not a bank. Right? Like people are so obsessed with Fed funds futures. Like if you're a bank, you're not a bank. You're a human. Like I don't understand. What is it? Right? Why should I care what Fed fund futures are doing? Explain that to me.
I think that the best trades are when you're right and everybody else is wrong, right? That's why everybody wants to be a contrarian. When the market is off sides and you find something, that's where there's true opportunity. Right now, the market, everybody you talk to, every economist out there is sure of the fact that rates are done rising and the next move by the Fed will be a cut. And if that's not the case, there's going to be a lot of opportunities to make money on the other side of that trade.
I guess. I mean, I'd rather be looking at 2s, 5s, 10s, 30s. I'm not a bank. Like, I don't care what Fed fund futures are doing. I couldn't care less. No? Spencer Israel, you, Mr. News guy, you're always following the news. Do you give a shit? Because I don't.
I like collecting 5% on cash.
I actually made a comment about that
Boomer.
a few months ago, but yeah, and I got roasted by my friends. But no, I care in the sense that the market cares, right? Sometimes it's hard to differentiate, the difference there. You asked about what the next move is. Well, the next meeting is in 2 days. Well, I guess technically it starts tomorrow, right?
Nothing's gonna happen, though.
And then, nothing's going to happen. At least that's what the Fed Fund futures say, JC. So we know that, that's true. Nothing's going to happen on this meeting on Wednesday. And then, the market is saying, let's look at the futures right now. The market is saying, let's see, a cut, I don't know, next spring, next summer, but it's pretty split.
You know what the market says? You know what the market says?
Split.
The market changes its mind a lot.
Yes, it does. The market is divided about.
Yes, the market is constantly changing its mind. Right now, it might be pricing that in, but what it's pricing in now is way different than what it was pricing in 3 months ago.
Of course.
And I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be pricing something different 3 months from now.
Of course.
Why don't we take a look at the futures? I know how much you guys like when I talk about futures markets. 45 minutes before we open, but Dow futures flat on the day, completely flat. S&P futures again completely flat. Nasdaq down slightly. Treasury bonds futures down 25 basis points. Gold literally flat. Silver flat. Copper down a little bit. Oil up another 1.25%, up towards $92 a barrel. I smell 100. And dollar index futures pretty much flat, with the volatility index ticking higher and interest rates ticking higher as well. And that, my friends, is your futures rundown, brought to you by your Miami Football Dolphins.
Wait,
interest rates are making new highs. That's your takeaway from this morning. I don't see
which rates. Which ones? 2s?
Short end, 5, 10. Sure, it's true for the 2. No, 2s. My 2s chart was wrong, so I'll have to go back to you on that.
10s.
Wait,
we're getting close. 30s. The 30s are still farther away, but I mean they're all right there, and they really look like the chart of crude oil. They really, really do.
That's my point. When you say you have no idea, you do have an idea. You're looking at charts of crude oil and gasoline and inflation expectations. Rates are going to move with those charts. That's what I'm trying to get out of you.
Maybe, but that's not my problem.
Fine, but you knew that was the right answer.
I don't know anything. First of all
right. Wow.
I know what is Socrates? All that I know is that I know nothing. And once I realized that, I started becoming way more successful.
All right. Trickwood is right in the chat here. All right. We'll lay off, JC.
Okay. And also, yes, Ken K, crypto is having itself a day this morning as well.
Crypto, in fact, is having a day. Bitcoin up $837 today there, Mr. Strazza.
Should we be having Crypto Mondays instead of Crypto Fridays?
Ooh, kind of has a nice little ring to it, Crypto Mondays. Get the week off started right. Listen, you could lose money on weekends too, baby. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to wait till Monday to lose money. No, I'm just kidding.
Listen,
it's true.
Not kidding.
I've been adding to my anchor crypto position in Bitcoin, frankly, because there's nothing to do with any of the altcoins these days. It's really just Bitcoin if you want exposure to crypto. So I've been buying weakness back towards this 25 literally all year. And that strategy's been working. So I don't know if we ever go from here, but for now, that 25 level has been really good. It's been a good place to accumulate. I think we get confirmation at 30. We've had this conversation a million times, but that remains the case. There's not much new to talk about unfortunately, with his.
I speaking of so many shout outs to Jeff Hirsch. Shout out to Jeff Hirsch. What is it? Sell Rosh Hashanah, buy Yom Kippur as our resident Jewish correspondent here, Mr. Spencer Israel. How do you feel about that?
That is what they say. I've never really bought into that, like the micro seasonality things like that. But go for it, I guess, if that's your thing. You would have had to sell last week.
So Rosh Hashanah was Friday.
When did it start? I think it started on Saturday.
You're asking me?
I think it started on Saturday. It's over now, right? Yeah, it's over now.
My understanding is we were Jewish before the Spanish Inquisition, is my understanding. I don't know for sure, because Parets with a Z is like a super famous Jewish last name.
Really?
Fun fact.
Yeah.
My ancestry is from Spain, and I learned literally, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago that my last name, my grandparents' last name was Moreno, and the only reason my last name is not Moreno is because when they came to America, they were like, "You Jewish?" Like, yes. Okay, your name is Israel. Next, right? So my last name should have been Moreno, JC, but it is not. You want to bring on our guest today?
Yeah, and let me address this question quick. It's because people are way lighter volume. Listen, from my experience, that moment's over. Everybody's back now. Like,
that's such BS.
In fact, everyone is working right now. Coming in really after the first week of September, everybody's back.
There's a valid it's a valid opinion because such a large sort of percentage of Wall Street is
but there no one takes a week off in between the holidays. It's like ridiculous, preposterous, right?
Offices are full in early September.
Yep. All right. Yeah. Let's bring on today's guest, Chrisitan Tharp. He's a trading coach. He's here, and he's here to talk about a little event he might be doing with JC this week.
Maybe.
Let's talk about it. Christian, you ready? Yeah, he's ready. Let's bring him on.
Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Christian.
Hey, JC.
What's up, man?
Tell you what, I could just listen to you and Steve go back and forth all day. I think I'm going to start canceling my calls and just tune into you guys every day.
Well,
we agree too much.
We agree
way too much. People prefer us to disagree.
I'm trying to get them to have an opinion on something that's important, Christian. For the love of God, I mean,
it's not important to me. I don't care. Christian, let me ask you this. How much do you think about Fed fund futures, and how much does the changes in Fed fund futures affect your day-to-day life?
Well, that's why I was laughing, because I was like, I kind of agree with JC a little bit. I don't, although we have to deal with the chatter around, the statements and stuff like that. So we do a lot of, like, I have to have those discussions, but outside of that, yeah, I was thinking, I don't know that I ever think much about it, other than, some of the trades, like, for example, I fired up the TLT chart we're watching here, but other than for trading things, yeah, I don't really think too much about it.
Let's dive in. What are you thinking about TLT? You buying it? Are you gonna be that guy?
No. I'm watching for a breakdown on that thing.
So you and everybody else, buddy.
Yeah. So we're sitting here waiting. We're sitting on our hands, but that 92 and a half area goes down. That's when we are looking to jump in.
So how would you play that?
I was just going to ask that. Yeah. What would the vehicle be? How would you short bonds?
So the way the service that I operate, that we are able to trade ETFs like this or anything in this arena, strictly calls or puts. Every once in a while, I'll do some strangling. So in this particular, we had actually bought puts on this way back when it broke below 97. And so I would do the same thing here. Now, with a lot of the students I work with, some of them obviously like to do any number of things. A lot of people like to sell credit spreads or, their diagonals they like to do. So I'll coach that. But as far as what we put on and what I would put on, probably just a good old fashioned put.
And why don't we take a step back here for a second? I love how we just dove right into a bond trade. Nerd alert. Can we talk about the overall market? New 52-week highs list peaked over 2 months ago. Like I said, a lot of the most important groups of stocks, homies, tech, semis, industrials, all stuck below their late 2021 highs, all stopped going up after huge rallies, stopped going up where they stopped going up last time. And we've kind of been in a churning sideways range, classic seasonal behavior for sure. How are your strategies different in this environment versus, say, in the first half of the year?
Sure. In this environment, I know that for us and the trading that we do I like volatility a lot. So I kind of depend on, I always say I don't really lean on indicators as much as I lean on math, right? Risk a little to make a lot. Well, when we're trading options,
Can we get that on a t-shirt? What's the quote? I don't care about the indicators. I care about the math. What was the quote? That was great.
Yeah. I was like, I always just say, look, I don't trade based on, I don't lean into, or my secret weapon isn't indicators. It's the math, and it's the number one thing I try to teach everyone, because I just see it all the time. Like, everybody's all caught up in this indicator, this, or this new one or that, or put these 6 together, put those. And I always try to teach my students that none of that matters. Like, you can trade whatever setup you want. You can be a candlestick guy. If you're a Bollinger Band guy, if you want to be a point and figure guy, it all like going to the track at Churchill Downs. All that is the horse that gets you in the gate. What happens and what matters most is when that race starts. And when that race starts, that's where things like basic math come into play. If you're risking a little to make a lot, you're probably doing well. If you're risking a lot to make a little, you probably aren't. So when I look at the market, when I look at volatility, for us that we do a lot of times a little bit wilder, buying just calls and just puts, believe it or not, our losses are capped at 100%, right? I cannot lose. My back is against the wall at 100, but my winning side, right, can obviously be 200, 300, 500%. So I like volatility. So in this environment, as I'm sure with the VIX and volatility hitting new 4-year lows, it's a little bit more challenging for at least in what I do. Now, I know for some, they love the idea of low volatility environments. But for me, I tend to take my foot off the gas a little bit when we're not moving as much. Now, to the directional move of the market, I agree with you completely. It is very difficult for me to get too terribly bearish, knowing that all the market is doing is what we probably could have expected it to do just based on seasonality. So it's like I can see these breakdowns, and I sent a chart over the Russell and that big head and shoulders that now is starting to make the rounds. The more and more these things make the rounds, the more and more I start to go, it's probably not going to. But, I see.
Is that what people are calling the Russell 2000? The head and shoulders top?
Yeah.
It's going to be a failed top soon.
Yeah. And so I'm like, once everybody starts talking about it, I'm like, all right.
I don't see it.
You see it? You got to zoom way in. It's off the March lows.
I sent something over the last second there.
Get the hell out of here. No. Head and shoulders top.
First
of all, for there to be, I'm not picking on you, but it's what people are saying. In order to have a topping pattern, you need a prior uptrend in order to top.
Some would say we've been in a nice bull market for the last year, right? Or and even longer. If you go back to June, if you look off the October lows, I always try to give the benefit of the doubt of somebody making the case, even if I don't necessarily agree with it, right? So what I see a lot of is if you look at that low coming off October, one could make the case that whether good or bad, could make the case that the Russell may over the past couple months have put in a top to that rally.
Tell those people to zoom out.
Say again?
Tell those people to zoom out.
Well, others are trying to say double top too. So I'm not sure if I
double top. You need something to top in order to have a double top, triple top, quadruple top. Right. A top needs something to top.
Right. Well, if anything, it'd be a sideways move. It wouldn't be a top. Yeah, right. Exactly. So if you pan out, there's it. That's the one.
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
It's adorable. It's there. But
this counts, though. This counts. According to the textbook, you have the little advance off the March lows.
Right. Now, whether or not we agree with it or if we put that in the higher probability bucket is a whole nother conversation. My thing is it's hard for me to get too terribly bearish when all the market is doing is kind of what we would expect during this time of year. And I guess I would need to see more, Right now, I think we had a great run off that 3,800, from early in the year, clear up to 4,600. I think it's okay. To pull back for a few weeks or a month or whatever. And I would need to see way more damage myself before I got constructive on the downside. Otherwise, it's more of short term, I don't think Friday.
What are you thinking about this energy, huh?
Yeah, so I actually pulled up an oil chart too, because I was like, is
that a head and shoulders top also?
No, I was looking at a pretty big channel over the past couple of years and an area around 94 or 95 that could create some issues. The 94, 95 area struck me as something that you would draw attention to as well.
Do we have a Christian chart or do we throw up ours?
It'd be the one titled Crude.
How clever of you.
I try to think outside the box.
I mean, man, you really nailed that one. Well, here's what I'm seeing. And I like to zoom out a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Which is why when I look at a Russell 2000 chart, and been talking about a head and shoulders top, like what? This to me looks like former resistance turning into support, right? Just like we learned it.
Sure.
Right, Christian? Imagine that.
Could be a very, very big bull flag type setup right there too, based on the chart that I had. But mine's a shorter term. It's only like a couple years.
Yeah.
So same resolution though.
And then from the long side, sounds to me like you're leaning from the long side in energy as you're shorting bonds here. Anything else standing out from the long side?
From the long side, we look at a lot of those energy ETFs as well. I think you talked about the XLE. We follow the XOP. Long side, we continue to look at, gold for something, but it just seems to be nothing lately. But yeah, that's mostly where we've been focused. I know that once we kind of see signs that maybe this little, pullback has reached its end, I know that tech is where we'd probably like to start looking again. But again, from a short-term trading perspective, not necessarily long-term.
Throw up that gold chart there, slide 6. And here's Christian's crude oil chart. That makes a ton of sense. Yeah. You got that downtrend channel. You got some memory there right around that 94, 95. Yeah. Right, Strazza, short term?
Yeah, I like that. Dude, it's got to stop somewhere. It's been some advance.
Looks like a head and shoulders bottom.
No.
Or
I couldn't help myself.
Is there such thing as a quintuple bottom? Bottom?
I doubt it.
There's a whole little bunch of bottoms down there.
See, the fun thing about this is we could make up our own patterns.
I think that's what people do, actually. I think that's what happens.
Sure.
Christian, why don't we talk about what we're doing tomorrow? Spencer, you wanna chime in here? Any thoughts on the big event for tomorrow, the JC and Christian show?
I think the origin story was a success. Why not a sequel, right?
Listen, people want more. You know how much great reviews we got from Chrisitan Tharp? Man, I didn't see it coming. I like you, but I'm not, I'm not really the audience. I swear, I didn't see it coming. Man, people really liked Christian. I think it's a couple of things. First of all, the things you say resonate with our audience because we're trained in the same way. So it's not like you're coming out of left field with some random approach, right? So that is helpful. Also, you're not like regurgitating all the things that Strazza and I say here every day. While we're trained in similar ways, you bring a definitely a unique approach. Your time horizon is also much different. You focus specifically on the options market as opposed to us that trade options and stocks. So that's also unique. And also, I think what really hits home with a lot of people is the simplicity. You're not overcomplicating things. You have the intelligence, you have the body of knowledge, you have the experience, but you don't, right? You really, really keep it simple. And I hate to use the word dumb it down because you don't dumb it down. It's less dumbing it down and more simplicity, which is, there's true value and beauty in simplicity. It's not dumbing it down. There's a difference, right? Between dumbing something down and keeping things simple. You definitely are good at the latter.
Well, I tell you, I think another way to look at it too is I don't know that there's too many things, whether it be, anything you're trying to do to a higher level, that the fundamentals aren't the most important, right? So what I try to explain is like when we talk about these simple basic ideas, it's not, because I'll work with some students that have a very advanced knowledge, but they're still losing money in the market, and they're kind of proving my point that at the end of the day, what good does it do you to learn about your 37th indicator this year that you learned if you can't manage risk? Right? If you can't be disciplined, the hardest part of it, right? If you are blowing up accounts because of bad position size. But I would challenge anyone to show me the indicator in any software program that would beat the things I just mentioned. If I've got good position size, if I'm managing risk, if I'm in good risk reward setups, I can control emotion and be disciplined. If I have a plan, in other words, all the stuff you can't find in that software program, I feel very good about beating anyone's indicator on the planet, right? Because indicators and blinking lights and even price that we like to use, it is just the setup. It's the reason we get in, right? And that's why I always use the example of like blackjack, professional blackjack players. Professional blackjack players, if they know when to hit, when to double down, when to split, when to do everything, they can still only win just under 50% of the hands, right? So how in the world can they be a professional blackjack player? Because they're doing the same thing we need to do in the market, right? They're not going to cold tables and sitting there and losing all their money and just sitting there. In other words, they have a stop loss. They leave that table and they go find a hot table and they let it, in other words, run. They let their profits run. What does the public do? The public goes to that table, loses all their money, goes to the ATM, gets more, loses that too, right? It's not about, in other words, their indicators or what their knowledge base of blackjack as much as the boring stuff.
Yeah, but they're getting free drinks.
True. If you win enough, you're winning something,
No, I think that's a good, I think that's a good perspective, because it comes down to, the fact that I feel like it almost doesn't even matter what your strategy is. If you are incorporating the things you just mentioned, the risk versus reward, the risk management, like the strategy you incorporate is almost less important. Like you could be looking at the moon and the stars. And I know people who do that. And they're wrong a lot, but when they're right, they really hit it, because when they're wrong by a little bit. And when they're right by a lot. And they're not looking at technical analysis. They're not looking at balance sheets. They're looking at where Mercury is. I'm not even kidding. But it comes down to what you said. Yeah. And I feel like our strategy is less important than all of those things, right? Which is fascinating.
So if you, so once as a trader, you understand and buy into that, then my belief is what you ultimately do is you come back to the most, okay, well, I got to use some indicator, right? Yes. Which one should I use? How about the most important one? Price. Last I checked, it's the only thing that pays, right? I think you would agree.
Preaching to the choir, baby. Tell them, Christian. Tell them. They don't listen, man. They don't listen.
And don't get me wrong. I always like to look, there's nothing wrong with, if you want to throw a 10-day moving average up there. I like, the RSI helps me take temperature of water and such. But at the end of the day, no trade I ever put on, the trigger isn't price, So that's kind of the way I choose to teach it. And I feel like that can be very helpful. If nothing else, just making sure like that you understand, why are you losing money in the market? If you are, it's probably not because you haven't put up the 5th trading screen in front of you, right? That's probably not the reason. Probably
the
not.
more screens you have, the easier it is to lose money. I'm pretty sure is actually what it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely easier to lose money the more screens. People think it's the opposite. Spencer Israel, tell the folks where they could find the Christian and JC show tomorrow.
All right,
talking about the state of the markets. Looking forward to that.
Live event tomorrow, Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern time. There is a link that is pinned to the chat in YouTube. It is also at the very top of the YouTube description. If you have your phone out, you can scan the QR code on the screen. That will take you to that page as well. Free event, screen, description, chat tomorrow, 4 p.m. This is the second one you guys have done. First one worked so well, you're running it back, as they say.
We had to. Yeah. When was the last time we got such great reviews? Those people loved it. We got to bring it back. But this time, rather than focusing on so much on the strategies incorporating, we're going to be talking about which strategies to incorporate in this environment. So less general, more focused.
Yeah. Why don't we do we'll do kind of live on the fly.
I like it. So, State of the Markets with Christian and JC. Has a nice ring to it. I like it.
Yeah.
Take it to the road show. Take it around the country. All right, guys. I will see you tomorrow at 4:00. Looking forward to that.
See you then.
Thanks for being here, Christian. Adios.
Alrighty.
Good egg, that Christian.
Yes, very good egg. And if you missed the link, if you missed the QR code, you can always rewind the video. Right, there's the beauty of YouTube, but also again, it's in the top of the chat. It's right there. If you click on, you scroll down below the video, it's right there. Also, It's also pinned to the top of the chat. So there we go.
Anything moving, Spencer, before we bring Kimmy on? What's going on this morning?
I mean, yeah, it's really quiet out there. The one headline I had was Clorox CLX actually came out and said it had a cyber incident, a hack, if you will, and they actually came out and said it will have a material impact on their upcoming results. You know what I wanted to talk about last week? We never got around to it. Speaking of hacks, was MGM and Caesars. The stocks didn't actually. MGM did react. I don't think Caesars reacted nearly as much, but yeah, MGM definitely reacted. They both were targeted. They both got hacked last week. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago by now. I don't even know. But yeah, MGM, Caesars, and now Clorox. And Clorox actually came out and said that they are going to have the impact of the hack is material to their upcoming quarter. So I'm watching Clorox, still kind of watching MGM and Caesars from the same sort of headline last week. These headlines are often hard to interpret whether it's going to impact the stock or not. What else am I watching this morning? No, that's kind of it.
How do these companies get hacked so often, though?
I don't know. Well, actually, I mean, I do know. No, information security is one of those things that no one cares about until they care about it, right? It's like no one, and I'm a little biased because my dad works in this field, so I've sort of had this drilled into my head for my entire life. But like, no one cares about their password strength or security until you get compromised, and then all of a sudden they care about it, right?
You know, you think there are some evil long short funds out there with like hackers overseas shorting companies and then hacking them, like some real like billions style plot? I don't.
Maybe in Mother Russia, but I don't know about here.
You could do it though. That's one way to do it.
I don't think I know any hackers. Like, you guys hang out with hackers?
No.
These hedge funds, they're hiring the smartest engineers. They're hiring rocket scientists from MIT and Harvard. They got people who could do it.
Yeah, I guess it's above my pay grade. I don't think hackers want to hang out with me anyway. I think it's one of those kind of things. Like, I don't think we'll get along.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about hedge funds.
Oh, I know, but I hang out with hedge fund managers and portfolio managers.
I don't think none that I know would do it. Right? It's not worth the risk. But I'm just thinking outside the box.
It's just like so for every like I don't know dozen or maybe 24 hacks, one of them is like major. Like this is a real problem, and the stock will react. I'm thinking about Sony. I'm thinking about who had the big one a couple years ago. Target had a big one, right? Actually, all of the retailers have had one.
That's my point. And like Clorox came right out and said this is going to impact the quarter negatively.
Yeah.
Like so it.
I think they're just making things up. Target. They're like, people are stealing our stuff. Hackers. I think they just suck.
Capital One was bad.
Capital One was a famous one.
Yeah.
Can we, speaking of hackers, can you throw up the Bitcoin chart here? You got to give the people what they want. The people want the Bitcoin chart. Throw up slide 1 there, where you're seeing Bitcoin now making, what is this? Check my math. We're looking at what? 3-week highs here? 20-day highs for Bitcoin. And then also I'll throw the next chart up, little zoom in action. Nice action over the weekend. Interesting. I mean, worth noting. Again, Strazza, you're the one who's been pounding the table on that 25,000, and once again,
listen,
finding support.
I'm not sitting here taking victory laps. I mean, I've added there. I haven't made any money, but the market continues to tell us that this level is very important, right? So it's one way you could do this here. For me right now, Bitcoin's boring. It's just so range bound.
It's in a range. Yep, it's in a range.
But if you're patient and you believe in Bitcoin long-term, you want exposure long-term, I can't think of a better place to add. And the price structure, like we keep talking about these reversal patterns, it's just about there. You could argue it's already been completed. You could argue it hasn't been completed until we're at 30, but we're right there. We're right on the cusp of a new uptrend. So, yeah.
Totally.
All right, I got a question for you guys. How much will Mara be up today? Bitcoin had another big day. I think it was just earlier this month. And Mara back on, if you look at the Bitcoin chart, that big stick that just came right back, right? This was back in August 29th. Mara was up 27% that day.
Gave it all back in 3 days.
Yeah.
Well, Bitcoin's up 3%. Mara's only up 5 pre-market. So
yeah, but there's no volume. There's no liquidity pre-market. You know,
Sure.
There's 2 million shares that traded.
yeah, it's not nothing.
It's going to be like 12%. Bitcoin's up 3.
2
Mara,
million shares on a $10 stock. What is that? $20 million.
you get
What's that math?
you're getting 12,
2 million shares. So what is that?
Times 10 is $20
$20 million?
Yes.
too early in the morning for me.
No one said there'd be any math.
You're getting 10 to 15% out of Mara today, probably based on its.
And how come it's not doing it already?
It's not going to do it in the pre-market, man. The real people aren't in there like buying it up.
$20 million is really nothing.
Yeah, but that's where the juice is in the pre-market.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
No.
It's terrible. That's
not
you're
right.
gonna
No,
shit
Strazza,
film.
I hate to agree with Strazza, but he's right on this one.
What do you mean?
I've lost
right.
plenty of money doing dumb shit, guys. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Like,
fine.
No,
He's right. He's right.
Can I bring Kimmy on here?
please.
Bring her on. Please.
Can we
Let's
bring
talk
some?
about let's
bring
talk about
some seriousness?
real stocks, not these Ponzi's.
All right, I'm getting fine. Juice is not in the pre-market. Fine. Okay.
Morning, guys.
Kimmy the rock star, killing it. Kimmy, killing it. You're like Tua Tagovailoa of trading. You know that all you do is win. Am I right? Can I get a
Not
witness?
always. What?
Kimmy's like, who is that?
Not.
Should I take that as a compliment? I don't even know. Do you know who Tua Tagovailoa is, Kimmy?
No.
Why?
They call me Kimbo Slice. You ever hear that one?
I like that. Yeah, you look just like Kimbo.
Didn't
Kimbo Slice.
rest in peace? I think.
Yeah, Kimbo.
Didn't he die?
By the way, speaking of Miami, Kimbo Slice also Mr. 305. Just like Tua Tagovailoa is the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, okay.
All right. Anyway, Kimmy, what are we watching today?
I'm watching a couple of things, but I put Dick's Sporting Goods. We'll see how it goes. I'm trying to find to see if there's anything interesting. Friday it was like pulling teeth. I was like, oh, there was like, obviously the market went down and it was triple witch, all that stuff. So I was kind of being careful on Friday. Plus it's Friday trading, so I didn't do much. Even though, we're kind of in the spot here. Are the SPYs going to head to 440 or kind of hold in here and bounce back up to 445 or so? So have to see which way they want to take it. We got the Fed Wednesday, so we got a lot of things going on.
Three trades for Kimmy on a Friday, right?
Yeah, so PayPal never pushed through.
Which one?
PayPal and never pushed through.
PayPal never pushed through.
So I just said, I'm not keeping it on today, so I just got rid of it.
Why don't you walk me through what you're seeing here in the DKS, Dick's Sporting Goods?
Yeah, we'll see. Listen, it's obviously gotten really beaten down. If it doesn't hold like roughly this 112 area to get going, I'm looking just for a trade in it, not to marry the trade. You know what I mean? It's beaten down, trying to see if, it did bounce from the initial low. It was almost bear flag and dropped back down. Now it's back above the 8-day. So we'll see if it gets going, has a little movement back up to 115, 116, has a big spread in the morning. So it's hard to tell where it opens up,
A lot of gaps to fill there potentially.
Yeah. So we'll see if it gets momentum or not. I know Bitcoin stocks are trading up, but they're still stuck. Like look at Coin, right? Coin, MSTR, like Coin really is stuck under the 86 level. Really would have to push through. It hit that last week, like 86.50, and then backed off again. So look at that, pop to 86.50 and back down. So it really needs to kind of really push through that level to get going.
These crypto stocks are on the move with Bitcoin up almost 1,000 points here pre-market.
Yeah, but they're still stuck. I heard Strazza saying, they're still stuck. You know what I mean? They're in that range. They really haven't broken out or done anything. I don't really pay attention to the Bitcoin chart, but I'll look at what coins doing or MSTR or whatever. I don't trade them that often.
And on the equity side, other than long dicks, what's on your radar?
Obviously the banks we traded this past week a lot. Goldman Sachs we traded like 3 times last week, did very well. I think they need a slight rest, but Morgan Stanley is holding up. I will be watching Morgan Stanley. It's outside the Bollinger Band, so I have to see if it hangs on in here. It might need a little sideways action before the next move, potentially higher, potentially. You know what I mean? I'm not sure what made the banks get going last week. Do you know? I mean, I don't really pay attention much to news.
Bank financials have been outperforming during this correction.
Yeah. Why is that? Does anyone know?
Interest rates are going up.
They've been going up, and banks have been down. Interest rates have been going up, so I'm not quite sure.
Financials around the world have been actually holding up pretty well. Indian financials, European financials have actually been holding up pretty well. It's just the U.S. regional banks, like these crappy little banks that no one's ever heard of. There's too many of them to begin with. Get them out of here. Let them go to zero. It's not a big deal.
What were you saying?
We are not in a traditional environment where higher interest rates are better for banks. Higher interest rates will blow up more banks due to the balance sheet issues.
Right. So what was
but they'll blow up the little shitty banks that nobody cares about. So who cares?
And then JP Morgan will have to put more money into the FDIC fund to pay for it.
So what was the bounce last week?
For them before.
So why were the stocks bouncing? Do you know?
Some analysts wrote a positive note about Citigroup potentially not going to zero.
Get out of here.
That's all I saw. No, I don't know. I mean, this
seriously.
It's mean reversion. Look at Citigroup. It ran down to the lows and ripped off of them.
Financials are the second best performing sector since the new 52-week highs list peaked a little over 2 months ago.
That means nothing.
Okay, fine. Maybe not to you.
Only energy's done well. You know that.
What's that?
Only energy's done well. You know that.
Financials are up. Financials are up since correction started.
I don't think so, but maybe. I think the new 52-week highs list peaked on like July 18th.
It peaked on July the 12th and the 13th, depending if you're looking on the New York Stock Exchange or if you're looking at the NASDAQ.
So XLF is up.
XLF is up. So the U.S. Financials Index, of which the largest component is Berkshire Hathaway, is making new all-time highs as Uncle Warren, the Tua Tagovailoa of portfolio managers.
Are you watching any of these big cap tech stocks this week? Getting involved in any of these big names?
No question.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
I'd like them a little lower, but we'll see. What are you saying from the long side? You know, I mean, Nvidia's gapping down like 10 this morning. What is that?
Yeah, I see that.
Is that an inject? Maybe had a
downgrade.
Am I getting involved? Not yet. You know, I mean, I certainly wouldn't with the Fed coming Wednesday. You know, the old saying is, you know, you sell Rosh Hashanah by Yom Kippur, but you know, but that might not be till the end of the week. That might not be till later in the week. So we'll see. We got the Fed Wednesday, so I think it's going to be bumpy.
Kimmy, I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked JC. Gun to your head, what will the Fed's next move be, a cut or a hike?
Okay. I think, well, since rates are going
up. By the way, one of the things they could do is nothing, FYI.
They could do nothing.
Oh, they have to do something eventually. So,
well, they've been raising. Right?
They've been doing nothing. Didn't they do nothing recently?
They've been hiking, and then they stopped, and it's been nothing for a while. But the market's pricing in an eventual cut.
No.
Is that what's going to happen next?
I mean, we have interest rates are still going higher.
Yes.
I think so, too.
Right. So he can't cut. If he has to raise, but he might have to raise. Wait, last one, did he leave it the same?
Yes.
Yes. He might leave it the same again. I think he might not do anything.
I'm talking down the line, though.
Oh, he raises.
I'm with you. All right.
All right, guys, I got to run.
All right, Kimmy, go get him.
Yeah.
Go get him,
Kimmy. One,
let's let Kimmy run to her room. The link to join us on the bottom. If you have any questions about what Kimmy's room is about, what she's doing, I would encourage you to call us with those questions. The number is on the screen, 323-421-7910. Link to join is also in the chat and description on YouTube. All right, 9:26 here, 4 minutes.
I have a request. Can I make a request?
Yeah.
Can I request having Rob Koifman, founder of Koifman Charts? I have a hat here somewhere. There it is. Damn, you're fast.
Wait, he has your hat?
We have the same hat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
We ran into Rob in California last week, and he gave us hats.
I thought he had your hat, like through the screen.
Nope. I have a hat, but I don't know where it is. It's here somewhere.
Okay.
I keep my props nearby.
I clearly, I have like a prop that I want to show for recess. But anyway, we should have him on because I really, something that we've done for many, many years, and for whatever reason, we haven't really been talking about more recently is the fade the street, finding stocks that are making new highs where there's just, all the sell side analysts are bearish. We talked about Aon last week as a great example of that. There's 19 firms that cover Aon, and only 2 have a buy recommendation on it, and it's making new all-time highs, like that sort of thing. Because there's juice. Speaking of juice, there's unwind behind that. There's when they talk about cash on the sidelines, like this is a similar sort of mentality, right? So why don't we have Rob on to talk about that?
I can't wait. Yes, definitely. Spencer, you want to get in touch with him?
I want you to do it right now.
Yeah, text him right now. I love Rob. He's one of my favorite people to talk markets with. So it was really nice seeing him out in California. And JC, Fade the Street, I think of all the scans that we created over the past several years, might be the one I'm most proud of, because a lot of the scans we do by design and for good reason are just really simple, right? Because we're trying not to overthink things. That's the right way to do things 9 out of 10 times. Fade the Street, we really kind of go outside the box, do something very different.
Is it really outside the box, fading sell-side analysts? I'm pretty sure that's just standard operating procedure, is it not?
It's a little different. No, it's a little different. Listen, our other scans are momentum, dividends. It's a lot of stuff that you see.
I don't think I like the fact that you're like isolating this one, like you're choosing your favorite child. I don't think I like that.
No,
and you've changed your favorite child a few times over the years too. Now I've also noticed.
2 to 100 was originally my favorite. But
what about the Young Aristocrats? That's a hot one.
That one's great, but it's also, like I said, it's standard.
The minor leaguers is really sexy too.
Right, but we're filtering by market cap. Fade the Street, we're really digging in. We're fading fundamentals. Like it's a mix of a lot of different things.
The one you're most proud of. The other ones are going to feel a little bit bad.
Well, it's probably the most complicated. The most inputs go into running that.
Which one?
Outside of under the hood.
Which one? Fade the Street?
Fade the Street. Yeah.
But I will say this, Rob over at Coifin Charts does a really good job of organizing that. Like really good job. And the way you can like search for it. Here, for the record, I'm an investor in Coifin, but that's not why I'm saying this. Well, I feel like it's good disclosure that I should say that because,
I will reach out to Rob.
I'm pumping him up. But regardless of whether I was an investor, if I wasn't an investor, I would have wished I was. But regardless of whether I am or whether I'm not, Coifin Charts does a lot of things very good. They do some things that I wish they didn't do, or they have things that they don't have that I wish they did. So it's not perfect. This one in particular, to be able to search for sell side situations like this, they do a really nice job.
It's excellent. The data there is so good. You can chart it. It was
They also have data that's hard to get, and chart and all in one place. Like a lot of the foreign interest rates and stuff like that. Like those are not easy to find.
And Rob is a data geek, so his sources are quality, like the best. Yeah. And I can't say that about most of the other data providers we use, unfortunately.
True.
Like Rob's data is clean and very good, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry. I don't have to spot check Rob's data like I do with some of our other vendors.
True. Fair enough. That's fair. Yep.
All right. It's been a while since we talked about on the show the chart report. Can we do that?
Hit it, baby. Let's go.
All right, let's do it.
And then I have a segment.
Yes. So you can get ready for that now.
I got a thing to do.
Do we have a bumper? All right. My favorite email of the day. Speaking of like choosing favorites, is this my favorite email of the day? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I can't.
This one in the hot corner are my 2 favorite emails of the day.
I don't know how many emails a day you get.
I get too many.
This is from Friday. This chart of the day is from Jeff Hirsch. This is kind of what we were speaking to earlier.
Man, this is like the 4th Jeff Hirsch mentioned this show. We're giving him too much love. Too much love for Jeff.
All right. All right, too much love for Jeff Hirsch. Anything else strike your fancy? I liked the quote of the day is always nice, although some are better than others, and I thought I thought this was good.
We filled our Hirsch quota for the month. Guys.
Seriously, God, I mean, we like the guy, but this is ridiculous. You should just be here.
Didn't we agree that we would have him on like monthly? What happened to that?
We should.
We should.
Listen, he's the one who coined the term "buy in October and get yourself sober." I know for a fact Jeff Hirsch hasn't had a drink in a minute. Looks great, by the way.
Looks so good.
It does look so good. Can we show? First of all, I made the top 10. Shout out JC. I think this is a good one to keep an eye on. You know, we talked about it last week, and this is, you know, while we observed this correction in equities, new 52-week highs list peaked over 2 months ago. You know, we're pushing 10 weeks of a correction already. So the question is, does this consolidation that we're seeing in the markets resolve lower? Does it resolve higher? And I think these two charts should probably be front and center. If the market is going to resolve lower, if this is 1987 all over again and credit crisis and all these rumors that, you know, the perma bears are pushing on the Twitters and all that, you would see these lines going lower. And maybe they will, but they're not yet. And they're not, right? They're going up. And if they keep going up and they don't go down, then chances are the market's going to resolve higher. That's what I think.
Okay.
No pushback at all.
No. I mean, I agree with the logic of that, right? So I don't
as long as Spencer agrees with me, you know.
Well, the logic is, it makes sense. Anyway,
hold on. What about the Carl Quintanilla tweet? Shout out to Hot Carl.
For what? You know, I get so much of my tabloid news from Kyle Quintanilla's Twitter.
Yeah. How about that? That's a good one.
He does a great job. Like on this day in 1984.
No, he's cool. No, he's good. He's like in on the joke.
Carl's great.
Like he's not like he understands like, you know, traders and investors and media, and like he's in on you know, on the situation, which I appreciate that. Here's MSOS. This is the pot ETF.
Look,
when the edibles finally kick in.
Here's one of the things about cannabis stocks. It's happening this morning too. Is every period, like they're going to have these periods of a week or whatever when they rip higher, and what are these companies going to do? They're going to sell. They're going to sell into that rip. They have to raise money, right? So Canopy Growth is doing it this morning. They're raising money. They're selling stock. They're raising money. They got to do it, right? So like, it's just going to happen every time, like in perpetuity.
Feed the ducks.
They're going to, yeah. You got to feed the ducks. So I don't know. Hard to get excited.
I don't eat edibles.
Great, I guess.
In college, we made pot brownies and we put way too much in there. I swear, I thought I was going to go to the hospital.
I don't like the edibles. I don't like them either. Like out in the West Coast, edibles are crazy. You can't trust these
things. That was like over 20. That was 22 years ago, 20-something years ago. Never again. I'm scared of that stuff. It's too aggressive.
I live around the corner from a dispensary. I've had edibles sitting in my drawer now for, a year that I bought from there. And
I think they're outdated. I'd just throw them away.
Maybe. I probably should.
I can't sleep on planes, so I tried some of those California edibles before I headed to the airport Thursday night or whatever, JC. I don't even remember my plane ride. They worked so good.
Not for me.
I wouldn't recommend that.
It's a young man's game. Young man's game. So.
Get the chart report. It's free. Comes in every single day, Monday through Friday. Link is in the description. Check it out. And it was on the screen there just now. Okay, Strazza's segment. We do not have a bumper for it, but
do we have a name yet?
We still don't have a name.
It's your thing.
How about what do you mean? How about Strazza Spotlight? Strazza Spotlight?
That's not bad, actually.
I like the alliteration.
I mean, that's where we started, and we were like, "Oh, we'll find something better," but then we didn't. So now that's
Strazza Spotlight. Why don't you ask your dad? Your dad's way cooler than you are. Why don't you ask him for a good name?
So now he'll text me with ideas.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Strazza.
I want to talk about failed tops today, guys.
All right.
I think Christian, brought up. He's the one who gave me the idea for it just a few minutes ago, or during his interview. Let me just drop this one last chart in. Here you go, Fonz. So the classic non-top, right? JC, throw up the chart of industrials, Fonz, once you get in there, the XLI chart. I want to know if you remember this chart. we were not arguing about it, but debating it back in late May, early June. I was saying we have these little short-term topping patterns, things like industrials. You remember this chart? Remember what you said?
What did I say?
So, first of all, you didn't like the advance off of the fall lows from last year. You kind of were saying what you're saying today. Like, what is there to reverse, right? It was up, sideways, and then people are looking at this thing like, oh, it's got to break down. It's got to break down. Look at this. This is a head and shoulders, right? But then it didn't. So what do you do? When do you make the determination, okay, that top was actually not a top? So let's talk about yeah, right. And it was a great trade. Okay. Because the problem with the top is that of the two types of patterns we have, continuation patterns and reversal patterns, tops fall into the latter category, right? They're reversing a trend. So just by definition, they're less likely to complete for that reason. Continuation patterns have a much better hit rate than reversal patterns. Why? Because trends persist, right? I think that's clear to most people who watch this show. Let's look at exactly how to trade one of these patterns. NXE, this is one that I got involved in, God, probably a month ago now. Perfect, right? First thing that stands out to me, I love that we have these 2017 highs, right? And that top is forming right at this key level at the prior cycle highs in NXE. So that's the context for this trend, right? Bottomed at the COVID lows, screamed higher for a couple years, straight sideways, digesting, consolidating those gains, never violated the prior cycle highs, right? That resistance turned into support there, and you got multiple tests, right? So then now let's zoom in on the chart. Okay, here's how you trade this. I've marked it up to be this scary head and shoulders reversal pattern. You got the left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder from left to right here, okay? So what do you do when it's at 350, multiple tests at 350 just earlier this year, knocking on the door, knocking on the door, knocking on the door, won't break? Can you buy it there? Sure, right? But in the event that it does break down, maybe not the best, then you're holding something that could just flush lower, right? So you can buy it at support at this 350 level, but the textbook way to trade a pattern like this is to wait until you have confirmation that the top has actually failed, right? So the neckline, a break below this neckline of 350 would complete the top and suggest a bearish leg or a leg down. If you draw a horizontal line at the right shoulder, comes in right here around $5. I have it drawn there. It's green, right? You can buy the reclamation, right, of the right-hand shoulder or the right shoulder high, which is $5 here. You got a nice little coil there. You can get in at 5. You trade it back to the high of the head, which is about 650. That was a really nice trade. And that is exactly how you trade these patterns. You look at the momentum and the lower pain. Not only do we have the divergence, the bullish momentum divergence, as NXE was holding on and refusing to break 350, but then we get this, surge in momentum, beautiful overbought reading. If you look at that momentum trend, it was kind of dead, right? Nothing, not much overbought, not much oversold for a couple years there as we were going sideways. Now we're getting a momentum surge telling us this thing's kicking back off. And I just thought there are so many patterns like this out there right now. I thought that this would be a good lesson to go over.
I really like this Strazza spotlight. That was good. That was very well said. I like that. I like how you mixed in a victory lap there. That was good.
Well, it's easier when you're talking about the things that you're actually out here doing, right?
No, I know. I'm just kidding. No, that was great. I really like that. I mean, listen, you're singing my song. I mean, this is and you were absolutely right with that industrial situation. Everybody talking about a head and shoulders top and a top. You need something to top. You need a prior uptrend in order to have a distribution. Otherwise, it's just a consolidation, right? Like, can't be a top without something to top.
Yeah, and I totally agree with your point about Russell. If you zoom out enough on that, it's just sideways after down, right? So if anything, it's continuation. And if it is a reversal pattern, it's not going to be a top. It's going to be accumulation pattern. It's going to be a bottom.
You need snow to build a snowman, Strazza.
Listen, these non-tops, we see them all the time. And a top is more likely to be a non-top than a top. If that makes sense.
My favorite topping patterns are those that are not.
Right, exactly.
And usually they aren't.
They fail.
But explain why. Why is that? The reason is because asset prices trend. We know that. So if you're constantly looking for reversal patterns, you're defeating the entire purpose of what we're doing here in the first place, is looking for trends. Right? So if you're constantly trying to fight trends and find these tops or major bottoms or whatever it is, like, You're putting yourself at a disadvantage.
Life is easier when you are moving in the direction of the underlying.
Surprises
right?
come in the direction of price trends.
That's right. So if you see some of these failed tops out there, that's how you do it. Just draw a little horizontal resistance line in that right shoulder high, and you could use that as an entry point.
I love this. I love this. Can we do a little hot corner there, Spencer?
Yeah, all right.
What do you mean? Yeah.
It's been a while.
Hot corner. So hot right now.
Show me the table.
Are you not entertained here? My man Wayne Rothbaum dropping $26 million on this stock. Are you not entertained?
Which one do you think I'm going to want to talk about?
You're going to want to talk about Victoria's Secret.
That's right. I think Fonz like TKO. Let me see why. Yeah, that's different. $17 billion market cap. Look, Victoria's Secret, the reason this one caught my eye, you got the CFO in there. TKO does have a nice base, but let's talk about Victoria's Secret. Victoria's Secret, you got the CFO as a buyer and the chief accounting officer. So the CFO and the man who works one level below the CFO, the guys who do the books and know the numbers better than anybody at that company, are out here buying shares together. They're sitting in their office late at night, doing the monthly close, looking at the results coming through. They're saying, boy, we're really killing it this year. Why don't we both go out and buy some stock? That's what just happened.
You think they were having dinner, a little happy hour action? It's like, yo, we should buy some stock.
No, they ordered some sushi. They were eating in the office. They're doing the close. They're going through the books together, reviewing the revenue accounts. They said, wow, we're doing well.
Ordering sushi, huh?
Stocks at lows. Yeah, they order food and they stay in work till like 9, 10 o'clock.
Victoria's Secret, huh?
Look, you trade it right off these lows here. Oh. You got a level at about $17, nice and clean at the June lows. You got a big momentum divergence there.
Did they used to be owned by someone else?
And so it was Victoria's Secret also owned Bed Bath and Body Works. They split them off because Victoria's Secret has been a disaster.
Bath and Body Works, not Bed Bath.
Oh, I get them confused. The Bed Bath and Beyond and the Bath and Body Works. Yeah,
because you're not a mom.
So Bath and Body Works spun off. They were the same company. I forget what the ticker symbol was.
It was L Brands. The ticker was
L Brands. That's right.
Brands. Yeah, limited brands. Yep. So they spun the two off because Victoria's Secret has been struggling forever. Bath and Body Works has been doing okay, so they wanted to separate the two. Now Bath and Body Works is BBWI.
Correct.
Dude, I can't Build-A-Bear, Bed Bath and Beyond, Bath and Body Works,
Best Buy.
Best Buy, yeah, the BBY, BBB, BBY, BBW.
Very confusing. Whatever. It's very confusing.
A lot of bees.
Bees.
No, but that one totally stood out. In terms of like the best looking charts, I guess TKO definitely, and the worst looking chart, really Advanced Auto Parts. I mean, this thing is a disaster, and it's in a space where a lot of its competitors. Look at AAP's chart. Look at how bad this is. It's in a space. This was a short of ours this year. This is probably one of the best shorts we have. It's in a space where its competitors are doing really well. So it's like, what are these guys doing? If you look at like O'Reilly or something else, charts look very different. So AAP is a problem stock. Something you definitely want to stay away from.
Throw up my TKO there on slide 1, so you can see this thing making new all-time highs. TKO coming in hot. Up 1% today, $8.4 billion communication stock, entertainment.
No, I'm confused about this chart.
Which one?
Because TKO, this one, because TKO is the new WWE, right? Because WWE just merged with UFC or Endeavor, right?
That's what this is. This is Endeavor.
Well, it's WWE and Endeavor, and so right. So I don't know. So EDR, right? No, not EDR. Was it EDR? I don't know. WWE and Endeavor just merged. Endeavor owned UFC. They just merged with WWE. So now they're one company. TKO is the symbol for that. I'm assuming that this chart history is WWE's chart. That's what that looks like to me. But it's now a different company entirely.
What? Why? Okay, hold on. Why are they listed?
Spencer, I think Spencer's right.
Why are they listed as a software company everywhere I look?
No, Spencer's right. It's
Because-
a communications
because-
company, but the price history is a different history. He's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Is this Endeavor and WWE or not?
EDR is Endeavor.
So this
Yeah,
is not-
the TKO, the ticker is, but the chart we're looking at right now that's a chart of WWE
No,
right there.
Spencer's right. Man, how many times have I said Spencer's right? Like in this episode, I don't think I like it. Between the Spencer's right and Strazza's are right, I think I don't like it at all.
But I don't understand why.
Why what?
Why is it a chart of WWE?
I don't know. You're asking me what? I don't know.
The software stuff.
Three knuckleheads trying to just guess.
I'll look into it. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
No, but the point is the chart. There is no chart history of this company because it's a new company. It's a new merger.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
why is so Endeavor still exists as a separate entity?
Does it? I haven't looked.
We'll look.
We'll look it up. I want to take a couple of questions, and then I want to talk about gold for a second. Billy says, hand up, I'm probably a moron here. No morons, right? No morons. The three of us are morons too, first of all. Second of all, he's talking about is the CFO and CAO just means the same guy holds both positions. What is CAO? Chief Accounting Officer?
I just double checked. It's typically never, like almost never. There's always a chief accounting officer, but in this case, it was just one file, and this guy has both titles.
And
somehow.
CEOs and chairmans also not the same. The chairman of the board hires the CEO.
Well, a lot of times the CEO acts is the chairman of the board. A lot of times they are the same person.
Yeah, but there's a board, and then there's the CEO.
Yeah, this is rare though. Every company I've ever worked for, there's a CFO, and then one below him is the chief accounting officer, CAO.
I like
in this case,
I like
Timothy
non-executive chairman. That's the best title because that means you tell everybody what to do, but you don't got to show up for work, right?
You're basically the secretary at board meetings, is what that means.
Non-executive chairman.
Yeah,
but if you're a chairman of the board, you're not the secretary, bro. You're the chairman of the board.
But there's a secretary on the board.
Right. But if you're the chairman of the board, you're the one who controls the board.
If you're the executive chairman, what's a non-executive chairman?
That means you don't work for the company.
I don't think so.
Yes. That is exactly what it means. That means you tell everybody what to do, but you don't have to show up for work. And you make the most money. You're probably a big shareholder, right? You know what I mean? It's one of those kind of things. Non-executive chairman. I'm telling you, that's the title you want.
The best CEOs make sure that they're the chairman too.
But if you're not the majority shareholder, you're not going to be the chairman. Is just going to.
If you're a great CEO, you're going to be the chairman of the board.
Depends on the type of company. There's a lot of. We can't just blanket every company.
In smaller, Billy's right. In smaller companies, they're often one and the same. In larger companies, they're not.
I would imagine like Bob Iger came back to Disney and didn't just become the CEO. I'm sure he's the chairman too. I would imagine like Jamie Dimon.
I don't think so.
No, Bob Iger was always the chairman.
Was he? Even when he was a CEO?
No, he stepped away. You know who just stepped down as chairman of the board? Howard Schultz.
Is that the Starbucks guy? See how I know?
I'm pretty sure Bob Iger was always the chairman. But in any case, it's neither here nor there. Real fast on the Endeavor thing. So EDR still trades. That company Endeavor owns 51% of this of the TKO. So that's the relationship there. And okay, so what else do we have?
I want to talk about the interest rates thing that Strazza was talking about because
I thought you didn't want to talk about it. I thought you were losing your mind if you got another question about Fed funds.
Settle down there, Baba Louie. Look at the gold chart. Look at the gold chart, and if interest rates are going to continue to go higher, if real rates are going higher, then gold is not breaking out, right? Real rates need to fall for gold to break out. Gold's looking pretty good, though. No? Is it in the eye of the beholder, this beauty here?
Knock on the door enough, you're eventually going to break through.
What does that say about rates, then?
Listen, I could show you several charts that look similar but suggest the opposite for rates.
I mean,
we
what
got
chart
both
is
quarters.
this? This is a monthly?
These are monthly gold futures. Yep.
All right. Well, the daily doesn't look nearly as good. So
There's
Yes,
no
eye of the beholder.
there's no momentum for this asset right now, right? You look at something like crude oil over the short term, it's become, a leadership asset. Can't say that about gold. So I'm not like looking at this chart like we're imminently going to break out. I look at an XLE chart at those old highs. I'm like, this thing's going to go. I don't feel that way about gold based on all the other evidence that we're seeing.
Boy, does silver still suck, huh?
That's what I mean. Look at the miners, look at silver. It's not coming together for precious metals the way it's coming together for something like energy.
So if interest rates are going to break out, then these precious metals are going to fall apart all over again.
Yeah, it's what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you say? What do you say we do a little recess?
Yeah, you want to do some recess?
Yeah.
We can
early.
No, we're good. It's 9:52. Where's your clock?
We can do some recess.
It's 8 minutes.
It's a touch early, but we can do some recess.
I have a good one. Give me 1 sec.
I got things to say.
Me too.
JC brought a prop.
Okay.
He's getting his prop. He's getting ready.
Let's get his prop. In the meantime, do you want to start or do you want me to go?
Why don't you go?
All right. Friday night, I went to a Costco business center. If you've never heard of it, there was only 25 of them in the whole country. It is a Costco, but it's like a Costco for restaurants mostly, right? Anyone can still go, any Costco member can still go, but they don't have all the usual stuff. They only have food. First of all, they don't have clothes and anything like that.
Got it.
It was awesome. Oh my goodness. It's like Costco, but like the stuff they have is just more. They have more stuff, so they have bigger quantities. So they had entire lambs hanging in the fridges. Okay,
Okay.
Like an entire lamb you could buy. You want an industrial vat of soy sauce? They got that too.
Yeah. So down here they have something that's called Gordon Food Service.
Yeah.
GFS.
Yeah.
And that's where all the restaurant owners kind of go to stock up. But yeah, why wouldn't Costco be in this business?
Yeah. Anyway, they have stuff for like regular people, some stuff at least, but a lot of it was. They had. Oh my god! Like I almost bought a 10-pound a giant tube of ground beef. I didn't buy it. It was intimidating, but it was a lot of fun. So Costco Business Center, check it out if you're ever near one of the 25 there are in this country.
That's where Perlman gets his beef.
He does. Perlman loves Costco, bro. Loves
you know.
I believe it. The second thing I have is can anyone explain to me the origin of this like Roman Empire thing over the weekend? Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
How often do you guys think about the Roman Empire?
Yeah, how did this start?
I think about it every day.
All right.
Do you?
No.
You don't? Are you sure?
I got a book.
I don't even know where this came from. How did this start?
It was because it was an internet meme. You know how some girl discovered that her husband thinks about the Roman Empire
like once a week,
and then was like, maybe it's more like 2 or 3 times a week, and she was freaking out, and she's like, are other guys like this? I mean, think about this. First of all,
I don't understand. What are we talking about, guys?
Strazza is like, first.
What are you?
I told my wife, I'm like, sweetie, I think about, in case you're wondering, I think about the Roman Empire quite a bit. She just looks at me. She's like, you're so weird. I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm like, listen, if any of your girlfriends ask you how often your husband thinks about the Roman Empire, you tell them that he thinks about it all the time. She still doesn't know what I'm talking about.
Does Morgan text you like from the other room while you're doing the show? Like my girlfriend does to me? Does she like just text you while you're doing the show, even though she knows you're doing the show?
No.
You don't have that problem?
No.
Okay. All right. It's just me.
All right.
It's just you.
JC, you left to go get your prop. What do you got for us?
Well, first of all, the Roman Empire is thought about constantly here in my household because, first of all, they believe that everybody should be drinking wine. Even the slaves and the poor folk were given wine in festivals. It was, by the way, the daily consumption of wine at the peak of the Roman Empire was like a bottle and a third per capita. It was over a full liter a night per capita. Think about that, including the poor folks and the slaves and everything. So it was like, so first of all, mad respect. Number two, I mean, just the rise and the fall, right, is really interesting. You know, how they controlled the entire Mediterranean, which is my favorite body of water. I don't know. What's your favorite body of water, Spencer?
Wow. I can't say I ever thought
Is it the
about
Hudson
it.
River? The Hudson? No?
The Hudson is not my favorite body of water. No, I don't know. I don't have
Well,
one.
the Mediterranean is mine. You know, I mean, we could go on and on and on about why I think about the Roman Empire, particularly the collapse and everything like that. But I mean, things were, that's something to think about.
Fine.
No? All right.
All right. Something to think about.
Think
I
about
have
it all
no
the time.
idea.
All right. My
I don't-
recess is ready. This is a book that I bought. It's called The Miami Dolphins, the story of pro football's most exciting team, right? But dig this.
1972.
No, it was written in 1971, and the book was published immediately after they lost the Super Bowl VI. So it was the first half a dozen years of the Miami Dolphins organization. Everything you ever hear about the Dolphins starts with 1972. They go undefeated, right? Dan Marino after that, and the whole thing. This is everything up until that point, which is similar to like Shoe Dog. It's kind of like the Shoe Dog of the Miami Dolphins, right? You know, when you read books, it's all about the success and everything like that. Shoe Dog is about Nike, but it ends right when Nike got successful, right? It's everything before that. It's all the struggles. So I started reading chapter 1 already. It's really, really fascinating. If you can find it on eBay, I got it for $12. Can you believe that shit?
Yeah, they were bad in the 60s, man.
Well,
Who
they're
was
66, so yeah.
They were bad. They were bad.
Who was your favorite player from those 70s teams?
My favorite player from those 70s teams, Garo Upremian, the kicker. He was kind of the man. He was from Cyprus.
All right.
Garo,
I'll take
and Larry Zonka, kind of hard. I mean, he's the only like running back to ever get called for a personal foul because he was trying to get tackled and he hit the defender too hard. That's a true story.
His book is good. I read his book as a kid.
Larry Zonka?
He talks about how he used to run through the woods practicing football. He'd put a football in his arm. He'd run through the woods and take down small trees. I swear. And mine's Mercury Morris. But can I go quick? Are we done talking about Romans and Dolphins?
Yeah, we're good.
I just can't say enough good things about the Middle Keys. I don't go there enough. I ended up doing what I told you about, JC, this weekend. So we shot up. We always talk about doing like a daycation here. We're in a string of 2.5 hours of islands. So we drove up about an hour and 15 minutes to Isla Morada. The water is nicer there. There's not as many people there. It's quiet. You can see the sunset. It's not crowded. Like, it was just so lovely. We did like a little spa day. We're hanging out.
Which key?
Isla Morada. Went to a place called Chica Lodge. It's like 14 acres of oceanfront property. We felt like we were the only ones there. It was just great. Should probably do more of that. And it's cheap too. So if you're coming down to the Keys, everybody always thinks the move is to go to Key West. Unless you want to hang out on Duval Street and be crazy and drink all night, the move is really to go to the Middle Keys.
Oh, come on. Louis' backyard is worth the trip.
Listen, it's a different kind of trip when you get to Key West. I'm not saying it's not worth it, but if you've been here before and you've seen it, go check out the Middle Keys.
I can eat at Louis' backyard for the 100th time happily.
Listen, it's great. We went to a nice restaurant in Isla Morada too. It was Zagat rated. Louis is.
What about that dive bar right by you with the hogfish? That's what it's called, hogfish, right?
I was there the other day with a buddy. We went after golf Friday, and we walked out. And we went. There's actually a nicer restaurant a block away from it now.
Why'd you walk?
Called the Docks.
Why'd you go walk out?
It's just, dude, it's dead. It became one of those tourist spots. It used to be like a lot of locals and a lot of tourists, and now it's just a lot of tourists, and it's kind of lost its local appeal. It's not.
But that blackened hogfish sandwich on the Cuban bread, woo!
You got to be so careful about ordering hogfish at these restaurants, and they're one of them. And a lot of people do it, but if you have hogfish on your menu, like a regular item, and it's not just on a specials menu, you know that restaurant's a liar, because you cannot have hogfish.
It's a nice white fish, you know, maybe a light fry, maybe a blackened. It's all good, whether it's hogfish or not. It's all good.
It's called fish fraud, and it's very bad. What they do is they use the mangrove snappers, which is cheap little fish, and they call it hogfish. So many restaurants do it. They're getting fined constantly. Don't trust a restaurant that has hogfish on the regular menu.
What if the restaurant is called Hogfish?
Good lesson.
Even trust it even less. It's bullshit.
Hating on hogfish today.
Sorry.
All right.
True.
All right, that's a great way to end the show. We do have the Flow show coming up in what time is it? It's 10 o'clock
11:30.
now. 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. So stay tuned for that. Strazza and Sean hopping on, talking about options flow there. Thanks to our guest today, Chrisitan Tharp. As a reminder, if you want to attend tomorrow's event with JC and Christian, 4 p.m. Eastern time, the link to do that is in the description and pinned to the top of this chat on YouTube. Thanks to Kimmy for stopping by. As always, thanks to all of you for hanging out with us. If you'd be so kind and drop us a like. Check out our website, stockmarketmedia.com. And hey, give us a call with any feedback, positive or negative, good, bad, or otherwise. We take all questions, comments, concerns seriously, and we offer valuable research. Like, we don't just have the free stuff with the chart report in the hot corner. We have valuable stuff that we charge you for because it's worth it. It's worth it. Call us. Where's the number on the screen? I'll put the number on the screen. 323-421-7910.
And you don't have to speak to Spencer. You can talk to Mary. She's nice.
No, talk to someone. Talk to somebody who's way more pleasant than me.
We
All right.
don't let Spencer answer the phones.
Yeah. Hello, you've reached
yeah.
Stock Market TV. This is Spencer Israel speaking.
Hey, don't. My like one of my 10,000 jobs at Benzinga. Once upon a time, I used to answer the phones way back in the way.
You got to
back in the
start
day.
somewhere, Spencer. Now look at
Yeah.
you hosting the morning show,
Way back
moving up in the
day.
world.
All right, that's a wrap. Everyone, go make some money. We'll catch you guys on the Flow Show later. Have a good one.
Adios.
Sunday.
Dope book. Just get
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then it go off.